Hello, I'm Frankie, and this week we're doing the writing strategy video. Yep. And so this week I am in group 2, so I did Ronaldo, and he's in grade 4, language learner, in level 4 in English. And so I will talk about the weaknesses and then talk about the strategy. So the weaknesses, well, first he talked his writing was about what it was like in his old country, which it didn't say, it just said country A, and then his new country, country B, because they just wanted to keep it confidential and his identity confidential. And so in the story, in his writing, some of the strengths I saw, some of his sentences were structured, not a lot of them, but kind of finding the positive that there were some structured. Another one is he did a good job comparing his similarities and differences between country A and country B. So in the reading that I read, he did very good at comparing what was different there and how it is here, kind of back and forth, and it was pretty good. He did a good job on being specific on what he meant when comparing. So in the story, in his writing, he would talk about how specific it was, there here it is snow and cold. I know that's not super specific, but I thought it was kind of specific because he also would talk about how there's 2 seasons there, and that it's it's dry and raining there, rainy and everything. So he was very specific on what he was trying to explain. Another strength that I saw was it seemed like he was trying really hard to have his sentences correct, which is good because he's trying and working hard for it. In the reading, he was trying to make his sentences sound good, and I honestly did think that most of his sentences were good enough for me to understand, so that was already a plus. So some weaknesses that I saw was he sometimes doesn't capitalize his first letter when starting a sentence, which you gotta kind of just remind him when doing it that it will finally come. Once you get it, you'll get it down. He had a sentence where he had actually a few where he would add an S to a word, so to make it more than one, so plural. It would be where he talked about how, let me find it, he said country B has 2 millions and country A has less than 1 million people, and he doesn't know the correct way to write it yet, so it would just be country A has less than 1 million people, because since the word less makes it more correct instead of saying millions. And also another thing he had in kind of a sentence thing, he said another thing he had for a mistake was when he said here is snow and cold for country B, instead of saying it snows and it is cold in country B, which I knew what he was saying, like I said, but he just needs to get down the correct sentence ways of it. So now I'm going to talk about the strategy that I picked, and the strategy that I picked is writing framework, which learners with a split framework for the kind of writing the rest of the class is doing when they begin to write independently, which Ronaldo was writing independently because he was writing about country A and country B, comparing the similarities. So what I did was framework, and I picked one where it says that the framework takes a holistic and top-down view of writing, focusing first on the overall meaning, then the overall organization and the ways that the sentences are connected in sentence construction, and finally spelling and punctuation. And so what I did on page 129, it kind of talks about how you make a chart. And so the first chart is general comments. So this is what I can do to help Ronaldo as a student, is make these charts and then read over the thing. And when I read it over, I fill out this chart, which I'll explain a little bit, and then go over it with him. And I think that it will help with just the small things, and then it can like kind of be a rough draft and then make it a final, because if you go over and talk about it with him, then he will kind of lock in on the little things that he's missing in this writing he did. So anyways, like the chart on page 129, it's first one is general comments, number 2 is text type, number 3 is overall organization, number 4 is cohesion, 5 is vocabulary, 6 is sentence grammar, and 7 is spelling. So what I'm gonna do is show you the comments that I made just on his writing, and just kind of pretend that what I'm going over with you, it would be him, so I can help him out. So first I'll read you the story of the writing that he did. Country A is very different to Country B, but they are the same in some ways. First way is size. Country A is smaller and Country B is bigger. Country A has less than 1 million people. Country B has 2 million people. Second way is weather. Here is snow and cold. Country B is rainy and hot, or sometimes nice but hot. Country A has 4 seasons, but Country B has 2 seasons, dry and raining. Country A has museums at many places, but Country B has only 2 small museums. Country A doesn't have many trains, but in Country B we see trains all of the time, and they carry many people everywhere. Those are the different and same stuff about Country A and Country B. So what we're gonna do is go over this. So for general comments, I think that your meaning was of his comparison was clear. It made sense. I understood what you were writing about, and it made sense to me. And there's just a few little things that we just gotta tweak, and then that would be good. So here's my chart, by the way. Just little comments that I make. So 2, text type, which is like a comparison, but I'll say compare and contrast because he kind of talked about it. But anyways, that's what it was about, and it was good. The overall organization. I thought your organization was good. You mentioned all the similarities and differences, and it was very detailed. Not super detailed, but you did very good at detailing the stuff that you were mentioning. Cohesion is, it had some good points and good references, which I really liked. Vocabulary. I thought you did very good at vocabulary. You used good vocab to fit the story. So when you would talk about the weather, you talked about snow and how it's cold and if it's rainy and then it's hot, and how in the 2 seasons there, it's dry and it's rainy. You did very good. Sentence grammar. You need a little help, which we can work on. With that, first is the first letter of the sentence. You make sure to just capitalize every letter, and when we go over it again, I'll just remind you again. And so every time you start a sentence, make sure it's the capital letter of that word. And then sometimes you say the wrong word. For example, in your sentences, we would just write, instead of they carry many people at everywhere, we can just fix it and say that was good. It was good, and you can just say they carry many people to different places. Maybe we'll just kind of change it just a little bit, but we'll work on that. Also, when you mentioned country A has less than 1 million people, you don't have to put the S, and we can just keep less than 1 million, because the S won't really need to be in there. And for spelling, you did amazing on spelling. I didn't see anything wrong with your spelling, so good job on that. I really thought that you did good. So that's how I would do my strategy with I think I did that correctly, but that's the one I picked for Ronaldo, because I think that he needed feedback, because it was just little minor things that he needed to fix, and otherwise it looked good. So yeah.